have nothing to draw from, I was able to find strength in every molecule of this earth. I'm able to be in a room with nothing, with no motivation, no inspiration, nothing, and find it. So what I did in those situations was I invented this thing called taking souls. When everybody's all fucked up and you're exhausted and you're weak and you're tired and you're looking around and everybody looks as bad as you or even worse, I'm like, you know what? I want to now make a statement. It's the perfect time to make a statement. To make a statement to let you know where your life ends and mine begins. And so the statement there is, I muster up every bit of strength from their looks on their faces and how they feel, and how I'm gonna now, from my childhood, where I came from, how I was the bottom of the barrel, I'm now amongst all these uncommon people. I'm now going to now make you feel like you're common. So I used their sadness, their weakness, their parts of their life where, God, this sucks. I'm like all poopy pants and messed up. I used that for my strength. And I have this moment of like, let's say we're in the sand, we're running or whatever. I will do a surge. I will do something and everybody's like, how the fuck is he doing this? And from that look on their face, that feeling of, God, man, this guy must be something special. It then surges me further and faster and harder for a long time. So it's energy's everywhere. But the thing is, it's so loud, that voice in your head of pain and suffering and discomfort and I don't want to do this is so loud that you're unable to really calm it down and say, okay, there's something here. It's a patient calm that you have to bring yourself to say, I know I have something here, but that voice is so powerful that it just wants you just to, let's leave.
Right.
We're done. It spazzes you out and you want to go, versus saying, let's take a second. Hang on. Before we spaz the fuck out, hang on. And in that moment, you can think clearly and find that strength out there for you. I would call this guy up at almost every night about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and give him an update.
Wow.
I said, hey man, I've lost 25 fucking pounds. Because no one knew what I was doing. I had to have some, so I'm really good at creating an enemy. I'm really good at creating something that I'm against. And I'm also good at, if you ever tell me something that I cannot do, I'm gonna let you know that I'm doing it. Right. Somehow you're gonna fucking know one way or another that I'm doing it. It may not be like in your face. I may make sure that I run across the daggone world. So then it's on the news and you turn the news on and say, how the hell? I wanna do something that you know I'm here. I'm here. So every time I lose like a big significant amount of weight, I call that recruiter up and say, hey man, I'm here. And before I knew it, man, this guy became almost like my best friend at that time, because I started actually changing his life. He started seeing, wow, man, like I'm glad I took a shot on this guy.
Right.
And not only did I lose weight, I had to go back and take the ASVAB test again. It's like a watered down SAT a couple more times just to get in the Navy SEAL. So it was a big process. So that 3 months was packed full of like failures, depression, even more. But what I found out in that whole 3 months, I lived a lifetime. In that 3 months, I started realizing if I can flip these insecurities upside down, if I can flip this fear, if I can flip all this shit that made me this depressed, insecure guy, if I can flip it and make it work for me versus against me, I started seeing the power in failure, the power in insecurity, the power in self-doubt. Because I looked at everybody, it may not be true, but that's how I looked at everybody, as being way above me. I thought to myself, if I can be at the lowest part in the world, in the sewer, and be able to overcome all this shit, I started using that as power. And I slowly started passing the guys from Harvard, the guys from MIT, the guys who were from great families and shit. I'm like, oh my God, I'm catching up. I had nothing. So I started flipping it and using it as power. I got through with that first 100-mile race that I did around that 1-mile track that I didn't prepare for, and I was considerably, it was horrible. And I'll never forget, I found such peace and beauty. And I got done, I was in the worst pain of my fucking life. And I got done and my wife pulled the car up on my ex-wife, pulled the car up on this little lawn, and I got in the back of it. And I got up the stairs. I'm not gonna go through the whole story, but I remember laying in the tub. And she put the shower on me, and I ran 101 miles in like 19 hours. And I was like peeing dirt out of me. And I'm sitting there and I'm jackhammering, and my body is just the most broken it's ever been, even to this day. And this feeling came over me. Call it crazy if you want, but very few people, I guarantee, have ever felt this before, to push themselves so far outside of what they thought was even possible, even for me. I laid in that tub and I didn't want it to go away. I had drained myself of every bit of strength, energy I had. And it was the best feeling I had in my life. All that pain, it was confirmation. It was confirmation that I had gone through a crucible and I had figured out another level of David Goggins, a level that I thought was humanly impossible for anybody to do. When I was at mile 70 and shit and pissed all over myself and I had 30 more miles to go and I was damn near dead, and I was able to go 31 more miles. In that process of the next 31 more miles, I found out more about myself in that 31 miles than I ever have in my entire life. The conversations, the mental blocks, the roadblocks, everything horrible. It was just feeding at me like light speed. Get the fuck out of here, man. But I was able to figure out different tactics. And when I finally got done with that and I laid in that tub and it was over, the feeling of, my God, man, you just really discovered a whole new world, a whole new part of the brain that I guarantee very few people have. So it's a feeling I can't even describe. A lot of people, they don't know my entire story, and they think I was born this man that they see now. They see what was created. They see the end of the job.
Right. So
they didn't see what it took to get there. And to develop a man like this, I realized that, like to sharpen a sword, to make a sword, you have to put it through fire. And you have to beat the fucking shit out of it. Repeatedly, you have to beat the living shit out of it. And so my mindset started to become that. And I realized that nothing hard comes from soft. And so when people have that mindset of I failed, it determines how you look at that. I started looking at that as a whole different way of living. Like, how many people could do what you do, David? It's that internal conversation I started having that was motivating me. Like, I knew where I came from. I was like, but I knew where I was going. Like, how many people can come from your fucked up background? You couldn't even read. And then I put myself in a deeper hole. So all this was inspiring me. All this fucked up shit was inspiring me. Like, I went from a guy who couldn't read, who got called all these things growing up. His dad beat the soul out of him. But I was 175 pounds. Now I'm almost 300 pounds. I'm in a worse hole. But it's gonna make for an even better story at the end of all this shit. So I started turning all these conversations into power. All the failure, all the rocky moments that we have in life, they're so powerful to say, what if I can get up and make this turn out to be what I want it to be? I have a way with visualizing. I have a way of visualizing and talking to myself and finding great strength in great misery. And it's those people who are able to be in the fucking sewer. It's very easy to be motivated on those good days of life. It's that cat who can be at the bottom of the sewer, who can find great motivation alone. There's no coach, there's no trainer, there's no nothing. There's no mom, dad, sister, cousin, brother, wife, husband. It's you and you alone in the worst possible spot of your life. If you can find drive, determination, motivation, in those times alone, you figured it out. And we have it all in our minds. It's how you talk to yourself and how you visualize coming out of it. It's how you see yourself in the dungeon of life. Many of us can't find strength there, but there's so much strength in the dungeon because so many people just stay there. It's that motherfucker who's willing to come out of it that becomes glorious at the end of it all.